Hey guys, welcome to Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. And tonight, I'm cooking. Thought, hey, let's get a hold of my friends out here in the neighborhood, see if they want to cook with me, because it would be awesome, right? And tonight we're going to do it's kind of it's a weeknight meal, but I don't know if it's quick to put together, not so quick maybe to cook. It takes about 15-20 minutes to put together, and about 20 to 25 minutes in the oven. So it's not horrible. It's got more oven time than prep time, and a lot of that will depend on your chopping skills, although really there's only an onion and some garlic to process. Everything else is either a spice or, in this case, comes in a can. We're making enchiladas. We're making beef enchiladas, and the recipe, I got it. Was originally done by Josh Miller. And he creates all kinds of recipes and things like that. And I found it though on once again the Pioneer Woman website. I'm telling you that, and all dish. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But anyhow, the other website that I look at a lot, other than YouTube. It just endless supplies of meals, especially quick meals, and that's the important thing, is the quick meals. With my busy schedule and all that, quick meals are nice, and I'm sure you guys got busy schedules, don't have all day to spend in the oven, in the kitchen, and so these are good to just cook on the fly. And these enchiladas, like I said, they're not going to take long. A lot of the stuff, we're not making our own sauce. That right there saves us a ton of time. We're going to use a canned sauce, but we're going to add stuff to it, some spices to it, to kind of kick it up a notch and give it that homemade feel. So, I think it's something that sounds good. I like every ingredient it's in, and I'm sure you do too. If you like any kind of Mexican food, or even Tex-Mex, this is right up your alley for sure. If you are new to my channel, this is your first video, I hope you get something out of this. If you're returning, thank you. Either way, I hope you check out some of my other videos. If you are new, I hope you consider subscribing. And if you're a frequent watcher, I hope you subscribe also. Those that have subscribed recently, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. You're the best. The fact that anybody takes time out of their day to spend a little bit of time with me, I never take for granted, because time is the one thing that's precious. You don't get it back. So that's awesome, and I appreciate that more than you will ever know. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share the video if you're so inclined, please. Notification bell is right next to subscribe, and all that stuff does, it tells me how I'm doing, but it also gets us out into the algorithm for YouTube and helps our neighborhood grow, right? We're a neighborhood. We're based on food and being good neighbors, and that's awesome. So anyhow, let's get down to the counter and we will start this adventure. All right, hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, we're down here at the countertop. So things you will need for this. Now, I have doubled this recipe. I don't think I mentioned it to you, but I'm going to tell it to you like the original recipe was, which will make you 8 enchiladas in a 9x13 pan. Things you will need. You will need a decent sized sauce pot. Well, not a decent size, but a sauce pot. A recipe is always helpful. Put this off to the side so it doesn't slide into our pans. And you'll need a large skillet of some sort. I use cast iron. If you're new, all we use is cast iron other than our stock pots. I'm not a big fan of Teflon coated things. I know they've got some other new modern deals, but they're expensive, and cast iron will last for generations if you even just take good, decent care of it. But anyhow, another story for another time. So first thing we need to do is, in our sauce pot, which I've got both these warming up because they are cast iron, and with cast iron you don't want to kick it all the way up on high right off the rip or whatever it is you want to set it at. You want them to warm up slowly. But in our pot, in our saucepan, we're going to add what will be 10 ounces of enchilada sauce. All right, like I said, I doubled this for mine, so you're going to go, that's more than 10 ounces. You're right. It's a little over 20. So, and that's pre-made, so bam, we just saved ourselves about a half hour right there. And while that's starting to warm up, so I can turn that up just a little bit, I'm going to take, well, here, I'll show you the ingredients first. Here are our spices, right? So we've got a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of black pepper. I think it's a half teaspoon. Yeah, half teaspoon of ground black pepper, and a teaspoon of kosher salt. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that in a bowl, just like such. And then, being the prepared person I am, I have something to put that together with. But we're just going to simply mix this together. Boom, real quick. Just like such. Get it mixed together. And then we're going to take a little bit of this, about a teaspoon, I believe is what it called for. A teaspoon of our spices, and we're going to throw it in the enchilada sauce. And then we're just going to set the rest aside, because what we're going to do with it is we're going to add the rest of that to our beef. But what we want to do now, we'll go ahead and stir that in, and then we're going to bring this to a simmer. So once this starts simmering, we can take it off the pot, or take it off the heat, right? I mean, as soon as it starts simmering. We don't want it to boil up or, simmer for any amount of time, because what will happen is we're kicking those spices up right now. They're mingling, they're getting to know each other. So we can let that go and let it come to a simmer. And realistically, we can probably just go ahead and start the what's going to go on with the skillet. So let me get you down just a little bit. Ooh, sorry, dropped you kind of quick there, didn't I? There we are. That way we're at the skillet. Boom. So we're going to take some olive oil. We're going to take a teaspoon of olive oil. I believe it was a tablespoon, I'm sorry. Yeah, which is just a good quick pour like that. And we're going to let that warm up until it starts to wisp of smoke and dance a little, right? And I don't know if it'll be, I can never tell on my monitor if you can ever see it dancing, although I think the last time I did that, you could actually see it very well when I went into editing. But we got to let that warm up, so when I come back, we can start moving on to the next steps. Okay, we're starting to dance, we're starting to smoke a little bit. So in our pan, you're going to need one small white onion chopped up. Now if you don't have a white onion, you can use a yellow onion. I mean, whatever you like to do. This recipe just called for a white onion, so that's what I grabbed. And I chopped it up. You chop it up as big or as small as you want. Now I will say, smaller might be better, because this is going to go in with the meat. And to this, I am going to add some garlic. 4 cloves of garlic. And I've got those minced up. And we're going to let this go, for a few minutes, and we're on medium. We're cooking on medium, all right? Not medium high, not low. Just a nice medium. And we're going to let these onions soften up. Okay, so next thing we need to do, now that our onions have softened up and our garlic is fragrant, and the kitchen really smells heavy of onion and garlic. Now I like that smell, but you may not. And you want to make sure you want to keep things moving, because if that onion burns, it'll get bitter, or the garlic burns, it'll get bitter. But the next thing we're going to do is take our hamburger, which is 1.5 pounds of hamburger. We're going to get that in there. Let that work up a little bit. Once again, I doubled the recipe, but I'm telling you what the original recipe is, because it makes 8 enchiladas. So you don't want to, which is plenty for a meal. I'm making leftovers. But to this, I'm going to add the rest of that spice mix, right? And then we're just going to let this cook until our hamburger is brown and crumbly. Okay, so our meat has been browned. It's nice and crumbly. which is what we want. You don't want big chunks of meat. They won't fit well in the wraps. We are using flour tortillas. Now you could also use corn tortillas. It's up to you. If you're going to use corn tortillas, use like a pan or something and warm them up in a little bit of oil so they're soft and bendable. Either one will work with this recipe. I just thought flour tortillas, since that's the original recipe, we would run with it. If you're new to my channel, I try to follow the recipe to a T the first time we do it, because everything we cook together for the first time, including me. Very rarely do I deviate from that. So now that we've got that browned and crumbly, we're going to add a small 4-ounce can of green chilies. Now, if yours has a liquid in it, drain it out. You don't want any liquid in the chilies. You just want the chilies. So we got our green chilies in there. Give those a good stir around real quick. Make it look pretty. It actually does look very pretty between the onions and the chilies. And we're going to take a cup of our enchilada sauce. It came to a simmer. I took it off and just set it off to the side there so it has a minute to do its thing and relax and settle down. But we're going to take a half a cup of that and pour it in here. Now we'll do 2 because I doubled it. We'll get our 2 cups of enchilada sauce in there. Mix that together. And we're going to let this cook for just a minute, not anymore. What we're trying to do is just get it to, get to know each other real quick before we start wrapping these bad boys up. You want that flavor of the sauce and the meat also. And if you wrap it up, without the sauce in it, you'll never get it in the middle. Okay, we'll let that go for a minute. And it smells amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our sauce over. We're going to turn our heat off. And we're just going to let this set aside for a minute and calm down. Alright, we don't want to put this in the wraps, blazing hot. So one thing I don't think I did mention, the recipe calls for a 90-10 meat hamburger. You can use any kind of hamburger you have available to you. But drain the grease off of it after it's fried, and you've got, you'll have the hamburger grease in there. Drain that off. You don't need it. All it's going to do is get into the sauce. All right, well, while that's cooling down, I'm going to get camera moved, get cleaned up a little bit, and when I come back, we will show you what we're going to do next. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, we're back. I got things organized up a little bit, and so that way we can move on to our next step. Meat's off, it's cool, that's settled down a little bit, and everybody's gotten to know each other. So the next thing you're going to want to do in your 9x13 pan is take another half cup of the sauce, pour it in there, and coat the bottom with it. Doesn't have to be thick. Remember, we're going to put the enchilada sauce. If you've ever had enchiladas, they're just coated in sauce. So we got that on there, just like such. We'll set that off to the side. And then our next step is kind of a weird step. Now, my mom used to do this all the time. It's quick and easy, but we've got some 8-inch flour tortilla shells, right? Flour tortilla shells, not flour, that we're going to use. And we're going to throw these on a plate. Take a damp paper towel, lay it over top of it, and microwave it for 30 seconds. So let me go get that done, and when I come back, we can move to the next step. Okay, so I got my tortilla shells microwaved, and like I said, I just a damp towel, damp paper towel. If you don't have a paper towel, you can use a towel, and you just lay it over top, microwave for 30 seconds, and you want to leave the towel on until you're ready to use them. And even then you want to put them on between. What that does is sometimes even flour tortillas can be a little wonky, so to speak, not really foldable or rollable, and the dampness helps that out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a half a cup of beef, lay it in the middle, just like such. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. It's got a bad spot in it, so to speak. It's a flat spot. I want that to be on the inside. Put just a little more in there. And then we're going to take about 2 tablespoons worth of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Throw it in there, and then we're just going to wrap it up just like such, and not get everything, let everything fall out, and put her in the tray. And you want it to be creased side down, so the side that's holding out like such, that side will go down. So I'll show you one more time, and then I'll go ahead and get them all done up, and that way we can move on to the next step. You don't have to be here for hours watching me do this. Well, not hours, but minutes at any rate. So half a cup of beef. That one a little on the heavy side. I gotta make sure I have enough meat for 16 of them. So we got half a cup of beef, about 2 tablespoons, I'm pretty sure it's 2 tablespoons of sharp cheddar meat. Yep, 2 tablespoons. Yeah, which, I mean, is about a pinch, so to speak. Yeah, but you can put as much or little as you want in it. And then we'll just fold it over like such, roll it up, flap side down. Alright, and you'll wash, rinse, repeat for, well, now we'll do it 6 more times for this pan. So when I come back, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, see you here in a second. Alright, so I got all 16 of them rolled, right? And I came to the realization when I got down to the last 2 that if I'd have turned these the opposite direction, they would all fit nice and evenly in there. But I didn't. That's okay. I know the next time. We've had enchiladas a lot in our house over the years, but I never got to make them. Chris always made them. So, like I said, this is the first time I've ever made them. So the next thing we got to do is pour our sauce over them. Now, if you're only doing 8, you could just simply take your pot of sauce and pour it over top of it. But since I've got 2 different pans here, and I'm not going to sit here with my scale and weigh them out and all that good stuff, I am going to do this in half cups until it's all gone, and then that way I know I've got it close to even as far as everybody getting to play in the pool, so to speak. So I'm going to get these done, and we'll move on to the next ingredient. Okay, so we got the sauce all over our enchiladas. Now what we gotta do is we're gonna take the rest of this cheese. Now I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but it's 2 cups of shredded cheese, or as much shredded cheese as you would like. I'm using a sharp cheddar because that's what the recipe calls for. But you use whatever you like. Normally I would put a Monterey Jack on this, or even a cheddar and maybe a mild cheddar and a pepper jack. It just really would depend on our mood and what we had in the fridge. But like I said, we had sharp cheddar, so I mean, why not? And we're just gonna put this over the top. I shred my own cheese most of the time. That way, because I take kind of it's a weird issue. The best way to describe it is, so pre-shredded cheese comes with a food grade like oil on it that keeps it from sticking together. Cause see how this is clumped together like it is? That's because it doesn't have the oil on it, or the glaze or tie, the silicone. That's what it is, food grade silicone. And that bugs me. I mentally take issue with it. So I try as often as I can to pre-shred my own cheese. Now, I do have arthritis in my fingers, and my wrists aren't as good as they used to be, so there are times when I just cannot shred cheese. That just, unfortunately, is a fact of life. Sorry, I'm bringing you up so I can talk to you. So, what do we got left to do? Another thing I did not tell you, which you're like, Brian, you're forgetting a lot. It's just been a long day. Preheat your oven to 375. If you didn't do it yet, that's fine. I'll put a note back there where we started doing these, because that's when you want to turn it on. I already had mine on. Abby doesn't do enchiladas, so I had to make her hamburgers real quick. So I just left it on. But when we started wrapping these is when you want to start your oven at 375. Once we get to this stage, we're going to put them in the oven. 20-25 minutes uncovered, everything's cooked, so it's not like we have to worry about anything. We just want to melt this cheese down until it's a golden brown and the sauce is bubbling a little around the edges. After that, we're almost ready to eat. So I'll be right back in just a second, and we'll look at some enchiladas as they're coming out of the oven. All right, hold on for me. Okay, we just came out of the oven, and the next step is just to let them rest for about 10 minutes. We don't want them to, if we try to eat them now, they'll melt our face, and even the recipe recommended letting them rest for 10 minutes. But there we are. There is our wonderful, beautiful enchiladas in all their glory, and that bad boy is blazing. So we're gonna let those rest for 10 minutes, and when we come back, we'll plate them up and give them a try. All right, see you here in 1 second. Okay, so we let these bad boys rest and get to know each other and all that good stuff. Now I will tell you, now that I know, glass dish doesn't need to go as long. I lost a lot of my sauce with the glass dish, letting it sitting on there that long. But I can see the sauce on the other one very clearly. So that tells me that if you're using metal, great. If you're using glass, go about 15 minutes and you should be good. Because when I checked these, I only let them go for 20, but when I checked them at 15, this still had sauce. And now the sauce, it was gone. I noticed it when I pulled them out of the oven. But that's all right. That's not a big deal at all. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll put some beans on here. I made up some beans. Now these are just canned beans. Me and Chris, we finally found a way that we like them, because we had tried several different things with canned beans. We'd put sour cream in them. We'd put Duke's mayo in it. We had let's talk about the task at hand there. But there we are. I mean, that doesn't look horrible. The only way this would look better plated is if I had some rice to go with it, and I had the cheese out to put on top of that. But that's okay. We're here for the enchiladas. And I mean, they smell good, they look good, minus this particular batch doesn't have the sauce. Now I know I need to make a little more sauce. Maybe go with a large can and a small can, just to make things happen. But that's all right. We are going to give these a shot and see what we did. Hot. They're still hot after 10 minutes. I'm talking hot, hot. Not quite melt your face hot, but awfully close. That is good. It does have a bit of a kick to it. I'm sure it's the chili powder. And the spices you can adjust to meet your needs. Enchilada sauce, especially canned enchilada sauce, has a bit of a bite to it anyhow, and then we just threw chili powder into the fire, so to speak. So it does have a little pep in its stuff, but it's not bad. You can adjust that. You can adjust any spice. You can adjust anything in this recipe. I've always said that's the beauty of cooking. You make it your own. So now I know that when I go through this recipe again this evening, when I edit this video, I know to change the amount of chili powder, because I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's just a nice little heat. Not overbearing by any means. If you like any kind of spice, banana peppers, even pepper, you would like this the way it is. I like it the way it is. Abby would not like it the way it is. Anyhow, it's versatile. So, that being said, give these a try. Let me know if you do. I don't think you'll be disappointed by any stretch of the imagination. They've got great flavor. I mean, great flavor. That meat is off the hook. And the sauce, in this case, that had soaked into the flour tortillas, just adds to it. The cheese is good. It's got good sharp cheddar taste. I think next time I'll put some Colby Jack on with it. I can't see a thing wrong with this. Other than the fact that I didn't make rice. That's all right. So tomorrow, I still don't know what we're gonna make. I've got a few ideas running around in my head, but I'll decide it in the morning. All the same. So give this a try. Let me know if you do. And till tomorrow, when we have something for dessert, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. And I appreciate you taking the time you spend with me. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It's going to make them feel so much better. It's going to make you feel good to tell them. You make some of these enchiladas up, I guarantee you, you're going to have a great meal and an awesome conversation. So until tomorrow for dessert, love you. Talk to you later. All right? Bye.